Jefferson County Court at Law number 2 is back in session. Court is in session and calls number M326869. Case is filed with State of Texas versus Samuel Kill Adams. Mr. Adams, would you please raise your right hand? Mr. Adams, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Adams, you may put your hand down. Your full name is Samuel Kill Adams. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Adams, you are represented by, in your case, by your attorney, James Macon, Attorney Macon. Do you waive the record in Mr. Adams' case?
I do, Your Honor.
And Mr. Adams, I have before me a document that is titled Information. This information alleges that on or about August 24th of 2019, while you're in Jefferson County, Texas, operating a motor vehicle in a public place, that you committed the Class A misdemeanor offense of driving while intoxicated with an alcohol concentration level of 0.15 or more. Now, state, are you reducing this to a Class B misdemeanor, DWI first?
That is correct, Your Honor.
And is that correct, Mr. Macon?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so now, Mr. Adams, the state is charging you here with a Class B misdemeanor. And this information alleges that on or about August 24th, 2019, while you're in Jefferson County, Texas, operating a motor vehicle in a public place, that you committed the Class B misdemeanor offense of driving while intoxicated first. Mr. Adams, do you understand what you have been charged with?
I do, Your Honor.
And to discharge Mr. Adams, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no?
Guilty, Your Honor.
Now, you're pleading guilty freely and voluntarily?
Yes, sir.
And are you pleading guilty because you are guilty?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Adams, I also have before me a document that is titled Misdemeanor Plea Admonishment. It is also labeled as State's Exhibit Number 1. Do you recognize this document?
I do, Your Honor.
Page 2 of the same document, there's 2 sets of initials. One set is your attorney initials, JRM, and the next set is, I think your initials, JA. Are these your initials?
They are, Your
Excuse me, SA. And on the next page of the same document, on page 3, there's a signature above the line that's titled Defendant. Is this your signature?
It is, Your Honor.
And on the next document, that's titled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Right of Appeal. Do you recognize this document?
I do, Your Honor.
And is this your signature on the
It is.
above the line that's titled Defendant?
Yes, sir.
There are 2 boxes that's checked at the top of this document. The first box that's checked states that this is a plea bargain case and you have no right of appeal. Do you understand that?
I understand that, Your
The
Honor.
second box states that you're waiving your right to an appeal, which means you're giving up your right to an appeal. Do you understand that?
I understand that, Your Honor.
Do you have his discovery certification?
I handed it to you.
I think I gave it to her when we did this. Mr. Adams, I have a document here that is titled Discovery Certification. Do you recognize this document?
I do, Your Honor.
And is this your signature on the line that's titled Defendant?
It is, Your Honor.
Now, Mr. Adams, before I mention to you all of these documents, did you, and before you sign and initial all of these documents that I've just mentioned to you, did you read the documents?
Provided that nothing has fundamentally changed from the point that I signed, I'm not trying to be difficult. I just.
Okay, my question was,
Transpired tonight.
okay, my question was, did you read the document?
Yes, sir, I did, Your Honor.
Okay, now, and did your attorney go over these documents with you?
He did, Your Honor.
And did you understand everything that your attorney went over?
I did, Your Honor.
Okay. And Mr. Adams, are you a citizen of the United States?
I am, Your Honor.
State, I have before me State's Exhibit Number 1. State, would you like to offer State's Exhibit Number 1?
Yes, Your Honor. So, stage 1.
Any
No
objections?
objection, State.
No objection. State's Exhibit Number 1 will be admitted. And Mr. Macon, you've advised in counsel, Mr. Adams, is there any evidence that he is currently mentally incompetent to stand trial?
No, Your Honor.
And Mr. Adams, your attorney, Mr. Macon, has advised in counsel. Are you satisfied with his representation?
I am, Your Honor.
Has he provided full, effective, and competent legal representation?
He has, Your Honor.
Mr. Adams, I will accept your plea of guilty. I will find that you are mentally competent to stand trial. I will also find that your plea and waivers were freely and voluntarily given, and I will also find that there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. State, do we have a plea bargain agreement?
We do, Your Honor.
And what is that agreement?
Your Honor, before we get to the agreement, I just want to make sure that the defendant understands the terms, because he shows some equivocation there before we, just for the record and for, of course, of appeal purposes, just to make sure that he understands the agreement and there's nothing that, he thinks has changed or materially changed that's going to jeopardize this plea agreement in the future, Your Honor.
Okay, would you state what the plea bargain agreement is?
Yes, sir. The plea bargain agreement is in exchange for the defendant's plea of guilty. In this case, we're recommending confinement for 72 hours in Jefferson County Jail. We're asking that the court give the defendant credit for the 72 hours he has already spent, making this a time served offer, Your Honor. And we're asking that the court use that time served back and retire the court costs.
Okay, now, Mr. Adams, the state is offering that you serve 72 hours in the Jefferson County Jail. You'll be given credit for the 72 hours that you've already served in the Jefferson County Jail on this case. The court cost in this case is
$370.
it 370?
That's the last figure I had.
Okay, the court cost in this case, Mr. Adams, is $370. Now, let me ask you this here. That's more than the time that you spent. Will you be able to pay? Now, you get credit for $300.
Yes,
Will you be able to pay the $70?
not today. I live 600 miles away and I've exhausted all my finances to be here before you today.
Okay, you can stop right there.
Okay,
So now, by you saying that you exhausted all of your finances, is that the president? So just listen to my question.
yes,
So since you're unable to pay the court costs today because you've exhausted all of your finances.
that is correct, Your Honor.
Okay, so what the court is going to do, pursuant to Article 42.15 Texas Code of Criminal Procedure, the court is going to find that you're indigent, and based on the finding with indigency, the $70 court cost that's left, the balance will be waived, which means you would not have to pay it. Do you understand that?
I understand that, Your Honor.
Now, do you understand the state's offer?
I do. Everything that he said sounds accurate, and
And do you accept the state's offer?
I do, Your Honor.
And do you think that is fair and just?
I do, Your Honor, if you believe so.
Okay, and so, Mr. Adams, the court is going to follow the plea bargain agreement that you have entered into with the state. Now, Mr. Adams, just have a seat in the gallery. It's going to take our court clerk, some time to do your judgment. And once she's finished with your judgment, she's going to ask you to come back up and sign the judgment. Once you sign the judgment and get a copy, you'll be free to go, and you have a blessed day and have a safe trip.
Thank you, Your Honor.
And
Thank you.
Mr. Macon, you'll be free to go as well, and you have a blessed day.
Your Honor, I've been next in the felony court and they reset my client. And so, okay,
Just give it to.
thank you, Judge.
Okay. Mr. I think you have to take, you have to put tax certificate, you have to take that off. And then she's gonna,
You can't do what?
no, he had on his, on the, no, it's just what I'm saying. What I said and what's on his, plea form are two different things. So I'm trying to make sure that he conformed the plea form to what I said. And so when you type it up on the form, yeah. So, court costs $370.
Yeah, I don't know that you can.
Good morning. This is cause number 333698. Case is styled the state of Texas versus Richard Paul Landry. Mr. Landry, is that your full name?
Yes,
sir.
And let's see. Now, Mr. Landry, you were represented in your case by your attorney, Thomas J. Landry, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now let me do this here. State.
Your Honor.
Okay, so any conflict of interest that that may exist between me and Mr. Richard Paul Landry, the state is waiving it?
Yes, sir. The state waives any conflicts of interest and feel comfortable proceeding for you.
Okay, now, Mr. Thomas Landry,
Yes.
what is your announcement in Mr. Richard Landry's case?
We were gonna announce,
Have you,
Well, I-
well, let me
I-
get this, have you received your discovery or
no, I
anything?
mean, I got the discovery, and I've left a few, messages with.
So you haven't been
But I
able to
haven't been able to
negotiate?
really contact, and I don't know if there's an offer.
Okay,
anything,
okay, so what we're
something-
gonna do, we're gonna reset this case to give you an opportunity to meet with the prosecutor who's
Right.
handling the case. I'm not even sure if he's the prosecutor or if Mr. Hawkar is the prosecutor.
I am.
You are?
Yeah.
Okay,
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
okay, so what we'll do, give us a standard reset.
May 31st.
Okay, this case is gonna be reset to May 31st. Is that a good time for you?
Yeah, I think that's fine.
That's fine. Okay. This case is gonna be reset to May 31st of 2023 at 9 AM for an announcement. At that time, you can make your announcement on the case. And so our court coordinator is going to reset your case. Once you reset your case, you'll be free to go and you have a blessed day.
All
All right.
Hey, can we?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Okay, you can stand over here. Jefferson County Court at Law number 2 is back in session. The court is in session in clause number M328124. The case is styled, the state of Texas versus Anthony Craig Woodcock. Mr. Woodcock, would you please raise your right hand? Mr. Woodcock, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Woodcock, you may put your hand down. Mr. Woodcock, you here with your attorney Charles Rojas, Attorney Rojas. Do you waive a record in Mr. Woodcock's case?
We do, Your Honor.
And Mr. Rojas, how are you doing?
Doing well, Judge.
Mr. Woodcock, how are you doing?
Yes, sir. How are you?
I'm doing fine. And again, Mr. Johnson, how are you doing?
I'm welcome, thank you.
Now, Mr. Woodcock, I have before me an information that was filed by the Jefferson County District Attorney's Office. This information alleges that on or about October 6th of 2020, while you were in Jefferson County, Texas, that you committed the Class A misdemeanor offense of terrorist threat, family violence. Mr. Woodcock, do you understand what you have been charged with?
Somewhat, yes, sir. I understand.
And to this charge, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
Guilty.
Now, you're pleading guilty freely and voluntarily? Or you pleading guilty freely and voluntarily?
Yes, sir.
And are you pleading guilty because you are guilty?
Sir.
Now, Mr. Woodcock, I also have before me a document that is titled Misdemeanor Plea Admonishment.
That's, excuse me, that's just for two of them charges? Or-
Well, I'm doing them one at a time.
Oh,
There's gonna be two, we're taking one.
Now, Mr. Woodcock, I also have before me a document that is titled Misdemeanor Plea Admonishment, also labeled as State's Exhibit Number 1. Do you recognize this document?
yes, sir.
And on page 2 of the same document, there are a set of initials, AW, that are on the line next to a box that says check guilty. You place your initials on this document?
Yes, sir.
On page 3 of this same document, there is a signature above the line that is titled defendant. Is this your signature?
Yes, sir.
The next document is titled trial court certification of defendant's right of appeal. Do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
And is this your signature on the line that is titled defendant?
Sir.
There are two boxes that's checked at the top of this document. The first box says check, states that this is a plea bargain case and you have no right of appeal. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
The second box says check, states that you are waiving your right to an appeal, which means you're giving up your right to an appeal. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
I also have, you have the discovery certification. I also have a document that is titled Discovery Certification. Mr. Woodcock, do you recognize this document?
Sir.
And is this your signature on the line that's titled defendant?
Yes, sir.
Now, Mr. Woodcock, before you signed and initialed these documents, did you read these documents?
Yes, sir.
Did you understand what you read?
Sir.
And is everything, and did your attorney go over these documents with you?
Sir.
And did you understand everything that he went over?
Sure did.
And is everything in these documents true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Sir.
Mr. Woodcock, are you a citizen of the United States?
Sir.
State, I have before me State's Exhibit Number 1. Hey, would you like to offer State's Exhibit Number 1?
Yes, sir, Your Honor. I would like to offer stage 1, and I just want to make sure that the defendant knows what case he's that we're proceeding on. He seemed like he didn't.
It's a,
This,
This is 194.
yeah, terroristic threat, family violence.
The terroristic threat.
yes, sir, but the state offer stage 1.
No objection.
No objection. State's Exhibit Number 1 will be admitted. Mr. Rojas, you've advised and counsel Mr. Woodcock, is there any evidence that he is currently mentally incompetent to stand trial?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Woodcock, your attorney, Mr. Rojas, has advised and counseled you. Are you satisfied with his representation?
Yes, sir. I am.
Has he provided full, effective, and competent legal representation?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Woodcock, I will accept your plea guilty. I will find that you are mentally incompetent to stand trial. I will also find that his plea and waivers were freely and voluntarily given. And I will also find that there is sufficient evidence to find him guilty, to find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. State, do we have a plea bargain agreement?
We do, Your Honor.
And what is that agreement?
Your Honor, in exchange for defendant's plea of guilty in this case, the state is recommending confinement in the Jefferson County Jail for a period of 180 days, Your Honor. We're asking that the court suspend imposing that sentence at this time and place defendant on community supervision for a period of 2 years. Require defendant to pay a $1,000 fine and to complete 100 hours of community service. We're asking that the terms of his probation include an anger management course and that the defendant has no contact with the victim in this case, Your Honor. This case is to run concurrent with cause number 328194.
It's cause number, it's cause number M.
M 328194-0. Your Honor, and it is dismissing with this plea agreement, the state moving to dismiss cause numbers M 328128-0 and M 328126-0, Your Honor. And just for the record, our office has been in contact with the victim who has expressed her okay or acquiescence to probation as a appropriate punishment in this case.
Okay.
So, excuse me, the victim has this say so.
They talked to her to make sure that she doesn't have any opposition to it.
Okay.
And they talked to her.
Now, how many hours of community service was that?
It's 100, Your Honor.
1 hour. Okay. Okay. Let me do this here. You said the fine in this case is $1,000?
Yes, sir.
Okay, they got the one in here, okay.
Same thing.
It's gonna be 307. Yeah, it's gonna be 307. Oh, 307. I know, but they got a $500 fine in here.
That should be,
I know,
because I haven't even typing
I
it.
know. That's what I was,
Did he ever plead to this before?
We tried to plead, but it was the same agreement. Nothing's changed from last time.
Then it was 500 the last time.
no, I want to tell is, so I'm gonna just take that.
Haven't gotten there.
Yeah, but what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take that 500 out because that was some fine, so the court cost would be 307. That's what I'm looking at.
So you're gonna take it out?
I'm just looking here, I know he doesn't have a $500 fine,
Same. Right.
right?
It-
So, let me do this, that'll be 307. Court
That's the
cost,
way it's transferring over, is what they're telling
Yeah.
me from the conversion. But
Yeah.
that's not right.
I know,
It's terrible.
that's,
Victim, 12 years in that relationship. She got it for 1 day.
Divided by 23.
Oh,
Sure.
Is that right? Okay. Okay, Mr.
Brandon, we don't.
Okay. Court is back in session and calls number M328-124. Case is styled the state of Texas versus Anthony Craig Woodcock. Now, Mr. Woodcock, prior to getting to this stage of the plea, the court read the information, and I'll do it again. Okay. Now, the information in this case in clause number M328-124 charges you with the class A misdemeanor offense of terroristic threat, family violence. This information alleges that on or about October 6th of 2020, while you were in Jefferson County, Texas, that you committed the class A misdemeanor offense of terroristic threat, family violence. Now, to this charge, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest? Now, are you pleading guilty freely and voluntarily?
Yes, sir.
And are you pleading guilty because you are guilty? Now, the court had previously accepted your plea guilty. The court is going to again accept your plea guilty. The court found that you are mentally competent to stand trial. The court finds that your plea and waivers was freely and voluntarily given. And the court finds that there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. Now, before we get to the final judgment, here we go. The final judgment is that we need to make a correction on the court calls. Just hold on a few minutes. Let the record reflect that the court is back in session in clause number M 328124. Previously, the defendant, Mr. Anthony Craig Woodcock, pled guilty to the charge of terroristic threat, family violence. His attorney, Mr. Charles Rojas, waived the record in the case. Mr. Woodcock acknowledged that his signatures and initials on State's Exhibit number 1. He acknowledged his signature was also on power certification of the defendant's right of appeal, and he acknowledged that his signature was on the discovery certification. The court found that Mr. Woodcock was mentally competent at trial. The court accepted his plea of guilty. The court found that his plea and waiver was freely and voluntarily given. The court also found that that there is sufficient evidence to find him guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. The state, can you could you restate the offer?
Yes, Your Honor. In exchange for the defendant's plea of guilty in this case, the state's recommended confinement for 180 days. We're asking that the court suspend that sentence at this time and instead place the defendant on community supervision for 2 years, Your Honor. Require defendant to pay a $1,000 fine. He can complete 100 hours of community service. We're asking that the probation include an anger management course and require defendant to have no contact with the victim in this case, Mary Laverne. Your Honor, this case will run concurrent with cause number M
328194.
On 328194, and we would be dismissing with this plea bargain case M 328128-0 and case M 328126-0.
Mr. Woodcock, the state is offering that you serve 180 days in the Jefferson County Jail. However, you will not have to serve any time in the Jefferson County Jail because you'll be placed on probation for 2 years. During this 2-year probationary period, you'll be required to pay a fine of $1,000 plus court costs of $337. You will also be required to pay a probation fee of $60 each month and a urinalysis fee of $15 each month. Your total monthly installments, that is the total amount that you will be required to pay each month while you're on probation, is $136 a month. Mr. Woodcock, would you be able to pay the $136 each month?
Yes, sir.
And in addition, Mr. Woodcock, you'll be required to perform 100 hours of community service, attend and complete an anger management class, and have no contact with the complaining witness, Mary Laverne. This case will run concurrent with cause number M 328194, and the state will be dismissing the companion cases of cause number M 328128 and cause number M 28126. Now, Mr. Woodcock, do you understand the state's offer?
Yes, sir.
And do you think that the state's offer in your case is fair and just?
Yes, sir.
And do you accept the state's offer?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Woodcock, I'll follow the plea bargaining agreement that you have entered into with the state. Now, Mr. Woodcock, we will move on to your next case. Your next case is cause number M 328194. And Mr. Woodcock, in that case,
Yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I'm not sure if you want to do the admonishment.
I'll do that at the end because both of them are family violence cases.
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Woodcock, I also have before me clause number M 328194. And in this case, Mr. Woodcock, I have a document that is titled information. This information alleges that on or about November 7th of 2020, while you were in Jefferson County, Texas, that you committed the Class A misdemeanor offense of violation of a protective order. Mr. Woodcock, do you understand what you've been charged with?
Yes, sir.
And to discharge, Mr. Woodcock, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
Guilty,
Now, you're pleading guilty freely and voluntarily?
sir.
And are you pleading guilty because you are guilty?
Sir.
Mr. Woodcock, I also have before me a document that is titled misdemeanor plea admonishment. It's also labeled as State's Exhibit Number 1. Mr. Woodcock, do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
On page 2 of this same document, Mr. Woodcock, there is a signature AW that is on a line that is titled guilty.
Yes, sir.
Are these your initials?
Mine.
On page 3 of the same document, there's a signature above the line that's titled defendant. Is this your signature?
Sir.
And on the next document is titled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Right of Appeal. Do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
And is this your signature on the line that's titled defendant?
Yes, sir.
At the top of this document, there are 2 boxes that's checked. The first box that's checked states that this is a plea bargain case and you have no right of appeal. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
The second box states that you're waiving your right to an appeal, which means you're giving up your right to an appeal. Do you understand that?
Sir.
You had a discovery certification. I also have another document before me that is titled Discovery Certification. Mr. Woodcock, do you recognize this document?
Sir.
And is this your signature on the line that's titled defendant?
Sir.
Now, Mr. Woodcock, before you sign and initial all of these documents that I've just mentioned to you, did your attorney, Mr. Rojas, go over these documents with you?
Yes, sir.
And did you read and understand everything in these documents?
Yes, sir.
And is everything in these documents true and correct
Yes, sir.
to the best of your knowledge? And State, I have before me State's Exhibit Number 1. State, you like to offer State's one?
Yes, Your Honor, fit off station 1.
Any objection? No objection. State's Exhibit Number 1 will be admitted. Mr. Rojas, you've advised and counseled Mr. Woodcock. Is there any evidence that he is currently mentally incompetent to stand trial?
No, Your Honor.
And Mr. Woodcock, your attorney, Mr. Rojas, is advised and counseled you. Are you satisfied with his representation?
Yes, sir.
Has he provided fully effective and competent legal representation?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Woodcock, I will accept your plea of guilty. I will find that you are mentally competent to stand trial. I will also find that your plea and waivers were freely and voluntarily given. And I will also find that there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. State, do we have a plea bargain agreement?
We do, Your Honor.
What is that agreement?
Your Honor, in exchange for the defendant's plea of guilty, the state is recommending confinement for 180 days in the Jefferson County Jail. We're asking that the court suspend that sentence at this time and place defendant on community supervision for 2 years, Your Honor. Require defendants to pay a $1,000 fine to complete 100 hours of community service. And we're asking that the terms and conditions of probation include an anger management course and no contact with the victim, in this case, Mary Laverne, Your Honor. This case, with this plea agreement, the state is moving to dismiss companion case number M328128 and M328126. And this case is to run concurrent with cause number M328124.
Okay. Mr. Woodcock, the state is offering that you serve 180 days in the Jefferson County Jail. However, you will not be required to serve 180 days in the Jefferson County Jail on this case because you'll be placed on probation for 2 years. During the 2-year probationary period, you'll be required to pay a fine of $1,000 plus court costs of court costs on this one. Hold on a minute. Mr. Woodcock, you'll be required, in this case, as I mentioned earlier, to pay a fine of $1,000 plus court costs. You'll also be required you will not be required to pay $60.
All right.
They'll put $60, but because you're already on probation, you only pay that $160 or one-time $60 probation cost because you're already on probation. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
You don't have to pay it for every case. You're only paying it for one case and it covers.
That was my question.
Okay. And the urinalysis fee is $15. And once we get the court costs from the state, I'll let you know. I mean, from the clerk's office, I'll let you know exactly how much your court costs will be and how much you will be paying each month. Now, you'll also be required to perform 100 hours of community service. You'll be required to attend and complete an anger management class. You cannot have any contact with Mary Laverne, the complaining witness in this case. Clause numbers M328128 and clause number M328126 will be dismissed as part of this plea bargain. And you also, clause number M328124 will run concurrent with this case. Now, do you understand the state's offer?
Yes, sir.
And do you think that the state's offer in your case is fair and just? And do you accept the state's offer?
Yes.
Okay, so now, Mr. Woodcock, before I state that that the court is going to follow this plea bargain, I first have to find out your court costs. But in the meantime, the court has given you a document that is titled Model Written Ammunition on Ineligibility to Possess a Firearm or Ammunition.
Yes, sir.
He's got one. Okay. And I'm going to go over this document with you. In accordance with the Texas Administrative Code, section 176.1, the court hereby admonishes you of the following. Number one, you are by entry or order of judgment ineligible under Texas law to possess a firearm or ammunition. Number two, beginning now, if you possess a firearm or ammunition, it could lead to charges against you. If you have questions about how long you will be ineligible to possess a firearm or ammunition, you should consult an attorney. Number three, under Texas Penal Code, section 46.013, a firearms mean any device made, adapted, or adapted to expel a projectile through a barrel by using the energy generated by an explosion or burning substance, or any device readily convertible to that use. B, firearm does not include a firearm that may have as an integral part a folding knife blade or other characteristics of weapons made illegal by Penal Code Chapter 46, and that is one, an antique or carry firearm manufactured before 1899, or two, a replica of an antique or carry firearm manufactured before 1899, but only if the replica does not use rimfire or centerfire ammunition. The statutes listed below are a starting point for ineligibility to possess a firearm or ammunition. For more information about the laws that make you ineligible to possess a firearm or ammunition, or for more information on how long your ineligibility to possess a firearm or ammunition lasts, the court recommends you contact an attorney. Code of Criminal Procedure, Article 17.292, Magistrate's Orders for Emergency Protection. Code of Criminal Procedure, Article 42.0131, Notice for persons convicted of misdemeanors involving family violence. Penal Code, Section 46.02, Unlawful carrying weapons. Penal Code, Section 46.04, Unlawful possession of firearm. Penal Code, Section 25.07, Violation of certain court orders or conditions of bond in a family violence, child abuse or neglect, sexual assault or abuse, indecent assault, stalking, or trafficking case. Family Code Section 85.026, warning on protective orders. Now, Mr. Woodcock, the modern written ammunition of ineligibility to possess a firearm or ammunition that has been handed to you, that's your copy, you can keep for your records. Now, just have a seat and we'll call you back up in a few minutes.